And we're back with another episode of Franchise My Business, the podcast for franchisors, hosted by franchisors. I'm your host, Kevin Oldham, and we're going to talk about franchise development and automation. If you're not familiar with what is available in terms of automating online processes, the headline is that there's a lot of really, really cool things that you can do to eliminate redundant processes, to maybe replace a human process that's kind of low level with some automation that can really just help you reclaim some of your time and frankly, just provide a better experience for the people that you seek to serve. So let's talk about some of the things that you can do in terms of franchise development automation. And specifically what I'm talking about is the marketing function, but also working people through a process from that initial inquiry to the period of time that you award the franchise. So we've built a couple of these for franchise partners. It's really, really cool. You know, we've used a piece of software called High Level. If you haven't checked it out, it's a kind of a digital kit of Legos is what I refer to it as. You know, it's got marketing automation. You can buy lead tracking phone numbers. You can buy or you can set up like landing pages. You can actually build websites. Really, there's not much you can't do in it. But moreover, one of the things that we use it for is we have our own private label version of it called Rocket Hub that we have customized. And we use it as a way to store all of the leads that are coming in and then do things with those leads. So when you're thinking about franchise development, one of the first things you want to do is just determine what the phases are in your basically your pipeline or your workflow or whatever you want to call it. So for example, we might have, phase one that a new lead comes in. Phase two is whether they're qualified or not qualified. Phase three may be that we send them the franchise disclosure document. Phase four may be that we then go through we've got the FDD receipt signed. And you can go all the way through your process, all the way from site selection to awarding the franchise to that franchise location is open. And culturally, what I always say is automate the things that you're comfortable with. So there's some companies that, are kind of afraid of automation, or maybe they're not familiar with it, or maybe they want to have a more personalized approach to everything that they do. But chances are there's always something that you can automate. So let me give you an example of something that you could automate that would help you buy back your time. Let's start with that very first phase to kind of get your mind thinking. And if you're ever curious about like automation or something, just reach out to me through one of my channels. I'm happy to kind of share this stuff with you because I'm a big automation nerd. But also cognizant of the fact that sometimes you don't want to automate too much in your business. So, fear of losing that kind of personal touch. So let's go back to one example to kind of get your noodle thinking around things that you can automate in terms of franchise development. So hopefully if you are a franchisor, you have at least a page on your website, or you have a specific website for the franchise opportunity associated with your brand. A prospect comes in and they fill out a contact form. Let's use that as the action that they use to raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested in learning more about your franchise system. Cool. They fill out the contact form. Now, here's what could happen from an automation perspective on the back end to not only make that prospect feel good, but also help you buy back some of your time. So historically, maybe you just get a notification in your email that says, hey, Bob is interested in an opportunity to talk to you about franchise, and here is some of Bob's elementary information. And then Bob would be kind of hanging out there. Bob filled out a contact form and then just kind of waiting for something to happen. So here's something that you could automate. You could set up conditions so that Bob only gets this text message during waking hours. So let's say Bob fills this out at 3:00 in the morning. We don't want to send a text back to Bob and say, hey, Bob, we got your information, blah, blah, blah. Bob's going to know that that's automation, or he's going to think that you're kind of nuts that you're up at 3 a.m. responding to his franchise inquiry. So we could set up something that says, hey, between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., we're going to send an automatic text back to Bob and let Bob know that we got his inquiry, and then outline the next steps in the process. So do some expectation setting. Let them know, hey, we got your information, and then set expectations in terms of what is going to happen next and in what period of time. Okay. Then on your end, let's say you get this email and then you look at Bob's information and you're like, just looking at his preliminary information, he's either going to pass that initial hurdle for being qualified to talk about an opportunity further or not. And maybe in that email, you've got a big button that says approve or deny. And those are what I call magic buttons, because if you hit approve, let's say you hit approve, great. Fire off another text to Bob. Hey, Bob, we've reviewed your preliminary information. We would love to have a conversation with you to learn more about you and see if you're a good fit for our company, as well as if our company is a good fit for you. Here is my booking link. Boom. Let's say we deny it. Well, we probably don't want to send that through in a text. Maybe we'll actually send through kind of an email and provide, some context as to why Bob may not be the best fit for a franchise system. Okay. And then based on that, we can automate the next step in the process and the next step in the process and the next step in the process. So hopefully that kind of gets you thinking about ways that you can just automate things, because historically you might get that email, then you'd have to take out your phone, maybe text Bob, send an email, boom, boom, boom. Now you've got some technology where you've built a one-time process and made this problem basically go away forever so that you could focus on the high value stuff, which is really evaluating whether or not Bob's a good fit for the organization. Okay. It's not in sending the emails and sending a text and all those things. Those are things that can kind of go away one time by building something. It's more about evaluating Bob and seeing if we want Bob to be part of the company, and frankly, seeing if Bob wants to be part of our organization. So hopefully that gets you thinking about ways that you can automate your business. Again, this is a passion topic for me. I think it's super cool when you can build some things one time and then help buy back your time for the rest of your career. Good stuff. Until next time, I'm your host, Kevin Oldham, and I do have two asks. Number one, if this episode was valuable, please text it to a friend who might benefit from it. And number two, I deeply appreciate if you would subscribe to our show. Until next time, have a phenomenal week.